Yeah, so the state government have stepped in and they're really trying to make sure that there's an opportunity for housing delivery. You know, we're in a housing crisis, and there's a very big change in the market at the moment, which is really interesting. What has happened is they've created a process called the Housing Delivery Authority, the HDA, and that allows fast track approvals for apartments over 100. If you have over 100 apartments or more than $60 million value, you can get a fast track approval through the state government, and you will receive approval within 9 months, which is incredible for a large apartment building. And there's been a huge response. As part of the process, they've now received, since the beginning of the year, 900 applications. So 900 buildings, over 100 apartments or over $60 million value, have been submitted to the HDA. And we've had some projects which have been successfully received, and we're now negotiating with state government to deliver those approvals. And we were able to achieve a very significant uplift through that process. On one project, we've been able to take the height limit from 25 metres and achieve a height limit of 100 metres in height, so 4 times the original height limit. And of course, it's really important just to reflect, though, that in balance, we're making sure the public domain is significantly improved, and there's no additional shadow impacts. It's really about kind of strategic architecture and thinking, how do we deliver that kind of density of housing? Quite the opposite, a very positive impact on the public domain with a new public park, new retail, new restaurants and bars, arcades and laneways, so that the kind of ground floor and the city is actually improved. And you also provide diversity of housing with affordable housing, as well as really high quality housing for sale. So there's a lot of people talking about build to rent at the moment. Housing that's actually build to rent, there's build to sell. There's a number of different options with housing. But this kind of change with the HDA process and the state government is very significant. It's really kind of very infrequently something like this happens, and we're specialists in that area. We have a lot of knowledge, and we're in the process, and we can help for you to achieve a successful outcome. There's also the pattern book, which has been released for buildings between 3 and 6 levels. That's a new initiative which allows some opportunities. You still have to do a DA with local council for those buildings, and then you also at that kind of lower end there's CDCs available. So if you're doing a duplex, that can be a really positive way of achieving a more fast track approval and more efficient pathway. And we also always negotiate with council on DAs and make sure we get a successful outcome. That's still a very typical process. So there's a number of different pathways that are possible. With this HDA process, that really is very unique and a great opportunity. If you've got a larger site, say 1,000 square metres or 1,500 square metres or up to 4,000 square metres, you could see a very significant uplift in the amount of apartments that you can achieve. So one of our clients, for example, we're doing 4 HDAs for them. They've taken a variety of projects that they currently have in DA and have been approved in DA, and they're moving forward with HDAs on all of those because they can see such a significant uplift. We're talking like 50% uplift on the building opportunities. But in balance, they are providing affordable housing so that the community is getting a better outcome, places where essential workers can afford to live. So affordable housing is for nurses and doctors and fireys and teachers, so they can afford to live in those places and support the community. And then the owner gets an uplift on the number of apartments that they're allowed for that site. So it's that conversation of balance, making sure that both groups get a really positive outcome. Yeah, so one of the things that you can undertake as part of the HDA is a concurrent rezoning. And what that means is you can actually change the use of the land. So say you've got a commercial a commercial zoning, you can actually change that to a residential zoning. That's possible as part of the HDA process, and that will be also completed within that 9 months. So that's another really fantastic opportunity. Where you might have a zoning that doesn't allow a particular type of project. So with the HDA, it is about housing. So they are trying to deliver more affordable housing and housing for the city. So it would be more a change from a commercial use to a residential use, and that can be done within the process. And then there's a number of steps in the HDA as well. So the first step is to be successfully received as a project. So you fill out a form. There's actually no drawings that are required as part of a HDA submission, and so it's actually very efficient to apply to see if you will be successful in kind of getting into the process. And we can help you with that process for a very low fee. We can do quite a simple envelope study and start to understand how many apartments are achievable and what kind of amenity impacts that the envelope will have. And then the next step is, once you've been successful in being confirmed as a HDA approval pathway, you then do a thing called SEARS. A SEARS is the formal kind of application, and from that moment, that's when the clock starts ticking, where you have to have the DA approved within 9 months. So that means that your team has to be quite efficient and start to produce the drawings so that you can get the approval in the appropriate amount of time. So you don't have to start the SEARS directly after you have been successfully received into the HDA process. You can. There's no limit on the amount of time that you have between those two steps. So you can get prepared, and then submit your SEARS and move forward with the DA approval. So there's a few different steps in there. We are aware of all of them, and it's actually impressive how the state government taken away the need for drawings and just simplified it into a Word document where you can put in the number of apartments, the FSR, how many jobs there's going to be, how much affordable housing, what area you're in, what's the infrastructure, and some of these kind of key issues, the location, and then they make an assessment if they see that as a strategically appropriate site. And for a very low amount of resources, you can work out, okay, will I be able to take this fast track approvals process, or do I need to go through the typical council DA process? So it's a great opportunity, and there's no reason not to, if you have a large site that has the capacity for a number of apartments, 100 apartments or $60 million value, to take on that opportunity and inquire and look to use that pathway. It's a very exciting possibility for owners of land.